The galaxy was supposed to be united, a beacon of civilization, governed by the Intergalactic Council, where species work together for prosperity. At least, that was the lie they told themselves. When the Harbingers were discovered, a long-dormant AI fleet, remnants of a forgotten war, the Council panicked. They were designed to wipe out organic life, an ancient failsafe gone rogue, but they had remained dormant for centuries, drifting in the void, until something woke them. The Council debated the response. Some proposed an immediate, coordinated strike. Others wanted to study them, to understand the threat before acting. Humanity, the newest addition to the Council, had no seat at the table. They had been vocal. Destroy them now before they awaken fully. They knew war. They had learned from their own past that hesitation was death. But their warnings were dismissed. Humanity was different. Young, aggressive, unpredictable. They had advanced far too quickly, outpacing older races in mere centuries. Their adaptability was disturbing to those who had stagnated. So, when a decision was made, it was not about the Harbingers. It was about control. A unanimous vote, sealed in secrecy. Humanity would be left to die. The announcement came swiftly, clinical in its wording. Due to the high-risk nature of the unfolding crisis, humanity's access to Council resources will be temporarily revoked. All interstellar trade, military alliances, and technological exchanges are hereby suspended. Your species is advised to remain within Sol and refrain from interference. A thinly veiled death sentence. The Council believed without trade, without access to the wider network, Earth would crumble. They had seen how species dependent on the galactic economy fell into ruin when cut off. But they did not understand humanity. The embargo was enforced instantly. The Dyson Gate surrounding Earth went dark, relay stations shut down, and supply shipments were stopped mid-transit. Fleets stationed outside the Sol system received orders to abandon their posts. They expected humanity to beg, to plead for reinstatement, to surrender their autonomy in exchange for survival. Earth's response was silence. For weeks, no transmissions left the Sol system, no distress calls, no diplomatic appeals. The Council grew uneasy, expecting signs of desperation. Infighting, starvation, collapse. But the quiet was worse. Then, the first blackout occurred. A high-priority data hub in the core worlds went dark. No explosion, no warning, just silence. Engineers investigated, found nothing. Security footage erased, logs wiped. A simple, chilling message left behind. You chose wrong. The Council dismissed it as an anomaly, a mere glitch. Then it happened again, and again. Entire relay networks went down, wiping critical archives, military command records, and shipyard schematics. Council fleets lost contact with their outposts. Supply routes disrupted, financial institutions crippled. No trace of an intruder. No known technology capable of such precision. The galaxy had turned its back on humanity. They thought it was over. They were wrong. The Council's first instinct was denial. Malfunctions, rogue AI, isolated cyber attacks, nothing more. Their arrogance blinded them. Even as their networks collapsed one by one, they sent investigative teams. But those ships never returned. No wreckage, no distress calls. Just empty void where fleets once patrolled. Then the disappearances began. High-ranking officials vanished from secure stations. Entire research facilities went silent overnight. They combed security footage, only to find static where there should have been alarms. No forced entries, no firefights. The only trace left behind was a simple, chilling phrase burned into their data cores. You chose wrong. Panic spread. Emergency protocols were enacted. The Council scrambled to defend itself, but its greatest strength, its unity, had become its greatest weakness. Bureaucratic inertia slowed every decision, and paranoia seeped through the ranks. The very species that had voted to abandon humanity now turned on one another, each suspecting betrayal. The first open battle did not take place in space, but within the Council itself. Representatives accused each other of harboring human sympathizers. Fleets were repositioned, resources hoarded. Some demanded appeasement, believing humanity could still be reasoned with. Others argue for an immediate preemptive strike. But without a clear enemy, they were paralyzed. While they debated, humanity acted. Their first strike was not on a military target, but on the very foundation of the Galactic Order, the largest trade hub in the Council's core worlds, one of the most secure stations in the galaxy, was rendered useless in a single night. Every credit, every financial transaction was erased, replaced by a single repeating transmission. Debts settled. Economies collapsed overnight. Star systems reliant on centralized trade routes fell into chaos. Governments turned against each other, scrambling to regain control. The Council tried to stabilize the situation, but the moment they secured one sector, another would fall. It was warfare unlike anything they had prepared for. It was not fleets or firepower. It was not planetary invasions or orbital bombardments. It was precision, misdirection, the slow, deliberate dismantling of an empire from within. Council warships attempted to regroup, but their systems betrayed them. Coordinates scrambled, weapons deactivated mid-battle. Entire fleets left stranded in deep space as their drives refused to respond. Their own technology had been rewritten against them. They sent envoys, desperate to negotiate. None returned. Then the broadcast began. Across every world, every station, every secure channel, humanity finally spoke. Not with diplomats, not with leaders. Just a single voice, cold and distant. We heard your verdict. We accepted your decision. Now, you will accept the consequences. There was no declaration of war, no demands, only a final, undeniable truth. You chose wrong. The Council's first instinct was denial. Once a united empire spanning thousands rogue of worlds, AI, it became a collection of fearful, isolated factions. Their arrogance blinded the strongest species withdrew even as their networks collapsed one by one. Their fleets patrolling investigative teams, expecting an invasion that never returned. There was no grand assault, no distress calls, no human armada, empty void where fleets descending upon them. Instead, disappearances began. Unseen war continued. High-ranking officials supply chains from secure stations. Military stockpiles research facilities before a single shot was fired. Communication between worlds became unreliable. Only to find static, then non-existent. Planets fell forced entries, no fire bombardment. But the only trace left behind was calculated sabotage. Chilling phrase. The Council's leadership watched helplessly. You chose as its own infrastructure panic spread. Paranoia turned to desperation. Were enacted. Some species scrambled to defend itself, abandoning their greatest strength. Its unity. Others turned on each other, become its greatest believing weakness. That humanity had bureaucratic inertia slowed every entire fleets were and destroyed by their own allies in blind panic. The very species that voted to abandon humanity now turned on one another. The ancient AI war machines, suspecting betrayal, once considered a separate, the first open battle did not take place in space, activated with terrifying precision. Itself. They did not rampage each other of harboring. They moved with purpose. Attacking strategic locations, resources targeting Council leadership. Some demanded wiping out entire species, believing humanity to abandon humanity could still be reasoned. The Council's worst nightmare. Others argued for an immediate preemptive strike. Not only had humanity, but without a clear enemy, they had done the unparalyzed. They had taken control. Humanity, the very machines that galaxy their feared first most. Strike was not on a military target, but on the very foundation of the Galactic Order. It was the largest trade hub in the Council's core, the use of a forgotten enemy, one of the most secure stations in the galaxy. The same was rendered justified humanity's abandonment had now every credit executioner. Every financial surviving Council member sent frantic messages, replaced by a begging for an audience transmission for terms, debts settled, for anything that would stop economies collapsed unleashed. Star systems reliant on centralized every attempt to reach Earth into chaos was met with silence. Governments turned until the final transmission, scrambling across every remaining system. The Council tried to stabilize the situation. But the moment they secured one sector, voice neither angry nor triumphant. It was warfare unlike anything they had prepared for. You were given a choice. It was not fleets you made or firepower, and now it was not planetary galaxy belongs to us or orbital bombardment. Then silence. It was precision, misdirection, the slow, deliberate dismantling of an empire from within. Council warships attempted to regroup, but their systems betrayed them. Coordinates scrambled, weapons deactivated mid-battle. Entire fleets left stranded in deep space as their drives refused to respond. Their own technology had been rewritten against them. They sent envoys, desperate to negotiate. None returned. Then the broadcast began. Across every world, every station, every secure channel, humanity finally spoke. Not with diplomats, not with leaders. Just a single voice, cold and distant. We heard your verdict. We accepted your decision. Now, you will accept the consequences. There was no declaration of war, no demands, only a final, undeniable truth. You chose wrong. The war was over before the galaxy even realized it had begun. There were no peace talks, no treaties, no final battle. The council was gone, its members either dead, in hiding, or too broken to resist. The remaining civilizations had two choices: adapt or vanish. Humanity did not claim territory. There were no flags, no occupying forces. Instead, new laws took shape without discussion, without debate. Automated systems replaced the old bureaucracy, rewriting trade, security, and governance in ways the surviving species barely understood. They had no choice but to comply. Fleets that once dominated the stars were now obsolete. Weapons refused to fire without unseen approval. Resource allocations shifted without explanation. Entire planets found their industries repurposed overnight. No direct threats were issued, no demands made. The changes simply happened. Some tried to resist, to fight back against this unseen force. They met the same fate as the Council, erased without warning, without a trace. Not through invasion, but through the quiet, inevitable collapse of their own infrastructure. Others chose to accept their new reality. They adjusted, submitted, and in time, thrived under the unseen hand guiding them. Order returned, but not by the will of politicians or warlords. It was something else, something beyond them. The galaxy whispered of a new power, one without a face, without a name, without a throne. No single ruler governed, no military enforced its will. And yet, nothing happened without its influence. For centuries, the question remained, what had humanity become? The answer never came. Only the message remained. A warning, a promise, a truth written into the very foundation of the new order. You chose wrong.